Jessica stood in the empty room, the dim yellow light from the desk lamp casting weak rays, as if trying to warm the cold atmosphere that enveloped her. She looked into the mirror, where the reflection showed a 31-year-old woman with red-rimmed eyes, pale skin, and disheveled hair. Only a few weeks remained until the birth of her first child. But instead of eagerly anticipating the arrival, her heart was filled with anxiety and despair. "Why did you do this, Daniel?" The question echoed in her mind like a sad song, unable to cease. Everything began when Daniel, her husband, unexpectedly withdrew all the money they had saved for the baby fund. He claimed it was to invest in a promising business opportunity. But Jessica knew the truth was far more complicated. She felt as though she stood on the edge of a crisis, where every dream of a happy family was about to shatter. Her breath became heavy, and tears streamed down her face, mingling with the pain and betrayal she felt. "What am I supposed to do now?" Jessica whispered to herself, her voice trembling. She had not only lost the money but also felt she had lost faith in the person she once loved the most. In these dark moments, she felt trapped in a maze with no way out, where every wrong decision could lead to dire consequences. As her gaze landed on a photo on the table, depicting Daniel and her on a beautiful summer day, the smiles on their faces seemed distant and foreign. "You promised to always be with me, to help me through every hardship," Jessica thought, but now those promises felt like empty words. "Can I still trust him?" She turned away and looked out the window, where the sunlight was gradually fading. The sky turned gloomy, reflecting her mood. A chilling breeze swept through the crack in the door, carrying with it the breath of unease and fear. A heavy feeling pressed down on her chest, making it hard to breathe. "Maybe I need to do something," she told herself, determined not to let herself be defeated. Just then, the phone rang, startling her. It was Emily, her best friend, who had always stood by her side during tough times. "Jessica, I just heard about Daniel. Is something wrong?" Emily's voice was filled with concern. Jessica felt warmth from her friend's voice, but her heart remained heavy. "I don't know what to do anymore, Emily. He took all the money, and I feel like I'm losing control," Jessica replied, her voice trailing off. She felt as if she were falling into a deep pit where all light was obscured. "I can't raise this child in this situation. I don't know how. Jessica, meet me. We'll figure this out." "You're not alone," Emily said, her tone resolute. Those words were like a flicker of light in the darkness, warming Jessica's heart. "I'll help you reclaim your rights. You deserve to be protected." A wave of hope surged within Jessica. She knew she had to stand up and fight for her child's future, even if it meant confronting Daniel. "Thank you, Emily. I'll come right away." As Jessica hung up the phone, she looked back into the mirror once more. This time, the reflection was not just of a woman in despair but of a soon-to-be mother who would not give up. She would not let Daniel or anyone else decide her future. She would fight for her child, for herself. She stepped out of the house, determined to seek support and protection for her future. But as she walked outside, a cold wind blew through, sending a shiver down her spine. Though she knew the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, Jessica was ready to face the trial. Because deep down, she understood that life was never easy, but it was precisely the hardships that would make a person stronger. And at this moment, she had decided she would no longer be a victim. Jessica would be the victor in this battle. Jessica stepped out of the house, filled with determination, yet anxiety still lingered with every step she took. She knew that seeking support was not only necessary but also a battle against herself. Beads of sweat trickled down her forehead as she walked to the cafe where she was supposed to meet Emily. The cold air outside chilled her, but the warmth from Emily's friendship made her feel a bit more at ease. As she entered the cafe, Jessica spotted Emily already seated in a corner. Her eyes filled with concern yet determination. "Jessica, I'm so glad you came," Emily said, standing up to embrace her. We need to talk about a plan. You can't let Daniel keep controlling everything. Jessica nodded, but her mind was still racing with questions. I don't know where to start. He took all the money, and now I have nothing. How can I raise a child in this situation? She sighed, feelings of guilt and helplessness creeping in again. First, we need to learn about your rights. You can demand financial support from him. And if necessary, I'll help you find a lawyer, Emily said, her voice filled with resolve. We can't let him get away with this. A wave of hope surged within Jessica. I know, but I'm scared. How will he react? He always says I'm not strong enough to stand up for myself. She recalled the times Daniel had criticized her, making her feel unworthy of his love. That's exactly why you need to do this, Emily replied, her gaze unwavering. Don't let his words define you. You are about to be a mother, and you have the right to protect yourself. Jessica nodded, feeling warmth spread through her heart. I will do it. But I need to prepare for his reaction. I don't know what he'll do when he finds out I'm trying to fight back. We'll face him together if we have to. There's nothing to fear when you have a friend by your side, Emily reassured her, squeezing Jessica's hand tightly. Remember, you are not alone. As their conversation continued, Jessica felt increasingly confident. She began to outline a specific plan, first, to learn about her legal rights, then to meet with a lawyer to explore her options. She decided that not only for herself but for the child in her womb, she would not allow Daniel to control her life any longer. After leaving the cafe, Jessica felt as if she had been recharged. However, upon returning home, she couldn't shake the feeling of nervousness. What if Daniel finds out I'm trying to fight back, she wondered, her heart racing. When she stepped inside, Daniel was already home, sitting on the sofa, his eyes glued to his phone. Where have you been so long? He asked, not looking up. His tone was cold, and Jessica felt an invisible wall between them. I just went out for a bit, Jessica replied, trying to keep her voice steady. She didn't want to reveal anything to him. But as she saw Daniel's expression, she sensed the tension in the air. You know we need to talk about money, right? Daniel asked, finally looking up at her. His gaze was icy, making Jessica feel as though she was being judged. I've been thinking about that, Jessica said, trying to maintain her composure. I want to discuss the baby fund. I feel uncomfortable with you withdrawing all the money without my consent. That was my decision. Daniel interrupted, his voice firm. I told you it was a good opportunity. You can't keep living in your own shadow. Jessica felt a surge of anger rise within her. That's money we saved for our child. Why can't you respect my decisions? She could no longer hold back, her emotions erupted. Daniel stood up and walked closer to her. You don't understand anything. I'm trying to do what's best for this family. You just sit there crying without doing anything. I'm not crying, I'm fighting for my rights, Jessica retorted, feeling all the pain and humiliation she had endured bubbling to the surface. I can't live under your control anymore. I need to protect my child. A heavy silence enveloped the room. Daniel stared at her, a mix of surprise and anger in his eyes. You think you can stand up to me? You're not strong enough to do that, he said, his tone mocking. Jessica felt as if she had been slapped in the face. Maybe I'm not as strong as you think, but I will fight for my child. I can't let you continue to control my life. She felt a newfound strength rising from within, a flame igniting in her heart. You'll regret this, Daniel said, his voice threatening, but Jessica felt no fear anymore. She had decided she would not let anyone, even her husband, stop her in this fight. When Daniel stormed off, Jessica felt a sense of relief wash over her. She knew the road ahead would not be easy. But at least she had begun her journey. She would not allow fear or Daniel's opposition to hold her back. With Emily's support and her own determination, Jessica was ready for the battle for her child's future. She opened her laptop and began searching for information about her rights. The websites flashed across her screen, but in her heart, one thing was clear: I will not give up. That night, Jessica couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, filled with anxiety and anticipation. The feeling of unease churned in her chest, making it hard to breathe. Tomorrow would be the most important day of her life, the day she would meet with a lawyer to discuss her rights and the baby on the way. She knew this decision would change everything. But the fear of Daniel's reaction made her feel like she was standing on the edge of a cliff. I won't give up, Jessica told herself. But those encouraging words didn't seem strong enough to dispel her worries. She recalled Daniel's mocking words and the times he made her feel weak. I have to be stronger, she thought. But her confidence still felt lacking. The next morning, Jessica woke up with a renewed determination. She dressed in simple yet neat clothes, looking in the mirror and telling herself, I can do this. But when she saw her growing belly, the fear bubbled up again. What if Daniel finds out I'm trying to fight back? Will he hurt me or the baby? When she arrived at the lawyer's office, Jessica felt like she was stepping into a battlefield. She took a deep breath, trying to stay calm before entering. The lawyer, a middle-aged woman with sharp eyes, greeted her and led her into the meeting room. Jessica, I've reviewed your case. We need to discuss your rights and how to protect them, she said. Her tone serious. Jessica felt a wave of hope rising within her. I want to know what I can ask from Daniel, she said, her voice filled with resolve. The lawyer began explaining Jessica's rights. But in her heart, the worries wouldn't fade. She couldn't stop thinking about Daniel and how he would react when he found out she was seeking help. Will he get angry? Will he do something to hurt me or the child? Those questions kept swirling in her mind. As the meeting concluded, Jessica felt empowered. She decided she would request a meeting with Daniel to discuss financial matters and custody rights. I won't let him control my life any longer, she vowed. But upon returning home, the fear came rushing back. Daniel was in the living room, his gaze cold when he saw her. Where have you been so long? He asked, his tone devoid of any emotion. I just went out for a bit, Jessica replied, trying to keep her voice steady. But the tension in the air made her feel like a storm was brewing. You know we need to talk, right? Daniel said, standing up and walking closer. His eyes were sharp as knives, making Jessica feel cornered. Yes, I want to talk about money, Jessica said, her heart racing with apprehension. I need to know why you withdrew all the money without telling me. Daniel laughed, but his smile was anything but pleasant. You think you have the right to question me? That's my money. And I can do whatever I want with it. Jessica felt a surge of anger rise within her. That's not just your money. That's our child's money. I can't let you keep controlling everything, she yelled, her voice echoing in the quiet space of the room. Are you threatening me? Daniel asked, his tone challenging. Do you really think you can stand up to me? You have no idea what you're doing. Jessica felt like she was at a crucial crossroads. She could sense Daniel's anger and control enveloping her. No, I'm not threatening you. I'm just standing up for my rights and our child's, she said, her voice becoming more resolute. Daniel stepped closer, his gaze burning. If you think you can threaten me without facing consequences, you're mistaken. I won't let you do that. Jessica felt a shiver run down her spine. What will you do? Will you hit me? Will you hurt the baby? She could no longer hold back, tears streaming down her face. I just want a good life for my child. You don't know anything, Daniel replied, his tone icy. You're just a weak woman who can't make any decisions. That statement hit Jessica like a slap in the face. She felt as though all her strength was being stripped away. But at that moment, a powerful feeling surged within her. No, Daniel. I'm not the weak woman you think I am. I will not let you decide my life anymore. She stood tall, her eyes unwavering. I will find a way to protect my child, and I won't let you stop me. She felt as if she had finally rediscovered the strength she had lost for so long. Daniel looked at her, his face a mix of anger and surprise. You have no idea what you're saying. I will make you regret this. I'm ready to face whatever you do, Jessica said, her voice strong. I'm no longer afraid. She turned her back, determined not to be defeated. But as she walked out of the room, she heard Daniel shout, "You will regret doing this." Jessica felt a chill run down her spine, but she didn't turn back. She walked outside, filled with determination. This fight was not only about money or custody, it was a fight to reclaim her freedom and dignity. As she stepped out, the sunlight shone brightly, like a sign of a new beginning. Jessica knew the road ahead would not be easy, but she had made a decision: she would never turn back. She would fight for her child's future and for herself. Jessica stepped outside, feeling as if she had just escaped a storm. The sunlight shone brightly, but inside her, waves of emotion still churned. She knew this fight was just beginning. Daniel's words echoed in her mind, a reminder that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. She walked for a while, her heart racing. I won't let him control me anymore, Jessica told herself, but the worry about what Daniel might do still left her feeling uneasy. She recalled his cold gaze, the way he made her feel small and weak. She couldn't let that happen again. When she reached a nearby park, Jessica sat down on a bench, taking a deep breath to regain her composure. The sight of children playing nearby warmed her heart. I will do everything for my child, she whispered, but the fear of what Daniel might do if he found out she was trying to fight back kept her from feeling completely at ease. She pulled out her phone, intending to call Emily to share what had just happened. But as she looked at the screen, she hesitated. Can Emily really help me right now? Will she understand the gravity of the situation? She wondered. In the end, she decided not to call just yet, instead sitting quietly to let her thoughts settle. Suddenly, a familiar voice called out from behind her. Jessica. Are you okay? Emily appeared, her expression filled with concern. I called you but didn't hear back. I was so worried. Jessica turned around, feeling a wave of comfort wash over her at the sight of her best friend. I just had a conversation with Daniel, she said, her voice trembling. I've decided I won't let him control me anymore. But I don't know what to do next. Emily sat down beside her, her eyes filled with worry. You did the right thing. But you need to prepare for everything. Daniel won't take this easily. She took Jessica's hand, as if to transfer strength to her. But I'm scared, Jessica admitted, tears beginning to fall. I'm afraid he will hurt me or the baby. I don't know if I have the strength to face him. Don't forget that you're not alone, Emily said, her tone resolute. I will always be here for you. We will find a way to deal with him. You have the right to be protected. Jessica felt a bit of comfort from Emily's words, but the anxiety still loomed large. Do you think Daniel will take extreme actions? Could he hurt me or the baby? She asked, her voice filled with dread. Maybe, Emily admitted, her gaze serious. But we won't let that happen. You need to be mentally prepared for any situation. We will seek support from the lawyer and other friends. Jessica nodded, but inside, she was still conflicted. I feel like I'm standing at a crossroads. If I keep fighting, will it cost too much? If I give up, can I live with that decision? She sighed, feeling everything pressing down on her. That's a tough decision, Emily said, looking directly into Jessica's eyes. But you have to remember that this isn't just your fight. It's a fight for your child. You may not see the path ahead clearly, but you must believe in yourself. A wave of emotion surged within Jessica. She knew she had to find answers to those questions. Do I have the strength to do this? Can I protect my child? Those questions kept repeating in her mind. As the sun began to set, the golden light filtered through the trees, creating a beautiful yet somber scene. Jessica gazed toward the horizon, where light and darkness intertwined. Will I be able to find light in this darkness? She wondered. Emily placed her hand on Jessica's shoulder, as if to impart strength. We will find our way, she said, her tone confident. Starting today, you are no longer weak. You are a mother, and that means you will fight for your child. Jessica felt a flicker of confidence return, but the worry and unease still lingered. She knew this battle would not be easy, and the threats from Daniel were still present. But she also knew she was no longer alone. As they stood to leave the park, Jessica felt like she had taken an important step. Yet within her, there remained unanswered questions. Do I have the strength to protect my child? Can I overcome the challenges ahead? Those questions echoed in her mind, a reminder that this fight was only just beginning. She looked into Emily's eyes, and in that moment, Jessica knew that no matter what happened, she would never give up. Because in her heart, a flame of determination had been ignited, and she wouldn't let anyone extinguish it. Time passed, and Jessica felt as if she were living in an endless nightmare. Even though she had decided not to let Daniel control her life anymore, each day brought new challenges. She had found a lawyer, and together they had begun to plan how to protect her rights and her child's. But deep down, the fear lingered, like a shadow following her every move. One afternoon, after finishing a meeting with her lawyer, Jessica decided to stop by the park where she and Emily had talked some time ago. She sat on a bench, where the golden sunlight poured down, making everything feel warmer. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath, trying to find peace within her soul. But then, the image of Daniel reappeared in her mind, like a wound that hadn't healed. Why did he become like this? Jessica wondered. How could love turn into control and pain? She felt a deep sadness, not just for herself but for Daniel as well. They had once shared beautiful moments together, but now everything was shattered. She recalled the times they laughed together, the romantic evenings under twinkling lights. Maybe he loved once, Jessica thought, but that love was overshadowed by jealousy and fear. This realization weighed heavily on her heart. She couldn't change the past, but she could change how she viewed it. As the sunlight began to fade, Jessica opened her eyes and looked toward the horizon. I can't let this pain define me, she told herself. I have to learn to forgive. Not just Daniel but also myself. It was a difficult decision, but she knew that only by letting go of negative emotions could she truly find freedom. Jessica stood up, feeling as if a burden had been lifted. She decided that she would not only fight for her rights but also for peace within her soul. I will not let hatred govern my life, she thought. Love and forgiveness are what I truly need. When she got home, Jessica began to write a letter to Daniel. She didn't know if he would read it, but she needed to express these thoughts. Daniel, she wrote, I can't change what happened between us, but I want you to know that I no longer feel resentment. I have chosen to forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace in my heart. As each line was written, Jessica felt the burdens slowly fading away. She no longer felt fear or anxiety. Instead, she felt a new strength rising within her. I will nurture this child with love and resilience, she continued writing. I will not let what you have done affect our lives. When the letter was finished, Jessica felt as if she had made significant progress. She decided to send this letter to her lawyer to ensure that Daniel would receive it. This is not just a letter, she thought. It's a message about growth and the power of love. A few days later, after the letter had been sent, Jessica felt lighter than ever. She began to focus on the positive aspects of life. She joined yoga classes, learned how to meditate, and gradually found peace within her soul. She also spent more time with Emily, the friend who had always stood by her during tough times. One evening, while sitting with Emily at a cafe, Jessica felt as if she had found the light in the darkness. "I've learned that life isn't always perfect," she said to Emily. "But it's the painful experiences that have helped me grow. I can't change what has happened, but I can choose how to respond to it." Emily smiled, her eyes filled with pride. "You're truly strong, Jessica. I admire you so much." Jessica felt warmth in her heart. She understood that love and forgiveness were not just lofty values but also invaluable lessons life had taught her. As she looked out the window, Jessica saw the twinkling lights of the city, and her heart was filled with hope. "I will not let the past control my future," she thought. "I will live with all the love I have and nurture this child with all the best things." She knew that the journey ahead would still hold many challenges, but now, Jessica was ready to face them. She had learned that forgiveness was not just a gift for others but also a gift for herself. "I will not forget what has happened, but I will not let it define who I am," she reminded herself. As the sunset gradually descended, Jessica felt as though she had found a part of herself that had been lost. She would never forget what she had been through. But now she could look toward the future with determination and love. And in that moment, she knew that life would go on, and she would walk forward with all the strength and resolve of a mother. Will I be able to find happiness in the simplest things? This question echoed in her mind like a promise for the future. Jessica smiled, feeling joy swell within her. She was ready for all the wonderful things to come.